here I've got a Moog One in the studio, and very nice it is too. A really big, sexy beast of a polysynth. It's not mine, it's on loan from Dan Stirling, and check out the links below. He's a producer based in Manchester, so if you want something produced, check out his links. Pretty cool. I'm going to put it up against the Minimoog. I don't really have time to do a massive in-depth look at this. I've only got it for a week, and I don't want to do things and then miss stuff, you know. I'd need a lot more time, I think, to dig into it for a full review. But I thought, actually, a lot of people have said online in forums that it's not very good at bass. So I thought, is it? Let's have a little play with it. Let's put it up against the Minimoog. It's not going to be the same as the Minimoog. We know it's not going to be the same as the Minimoog. The different instruments, and that, you know, they've got different oscillators. This has got a state variable filter and a ladder filter, stuff like that. So we'll stick to the ladder filter. We'll stick to what the Minimoog can do. Take an overview of why they're different, and then just try and match a couple of sounds. So we'll start off, as I normally do, by taking a look at the oscillators. Starting off with the sawtooth, then we are just listening to the differences. We know they're not the same oscillators. Moog One, Minimoog. First thing you hear is that the Minimoog is much brighter. And looking at the frequency analysis, you can see that really obviously, and you can hear it really obviously as well. There's a real steep roll off, isn't that, on the Moog One? That Minimoog's just flying up way over 20 kilohertz in like a straight line, isn't it? Whereas the Moog One does have roll off, and I've got the cutoff all the way up. There's a little trick you do on the Voyager where you increase the envelope amount and you increase the sustain. But unless I put it negative, it doesn't have any effect whatsoever. So that is as bright as I can get it. I've put key tracking on as well. Let me just check that on here. So we go into the More menu, ladder key tracking. Let's put that up. It's going up to 200% there. Back down to 0 and nothing. So I don't think there's a way of increasing that. Don't forget, I've only got this here for a week, so I may have missed some stuff. So if I have, do mention it in the comments. Okay, so how do the oscillators work on the Moog One? How are they set up? Well, we have the option of triangle or saw, and then we can change the wave angle of those. So if we look at the saw, we're moving it towards a triangle-esque shape. And if we look at the display, we can see it's doing stuff. The little display on the oscillator itself, I'm going to press the More button. We get it up there as well in the center. And these aren't live, these are just indications of what's happening. So you can have it triangle or saw. So that was the saw, this is the triangle. So it goes all the way to a saw effectively. Well, it does go to a saw, doesn't it? But that saw's no brighter than the other saw. In fact, the sawtooth setting is a bit brighter than that, as you'd expect. And then we can mix in pulse. So if we go to full pulse, so there you go, you've got pulse width modulation on the Moog One, which you don't have on the Minimoog. And then you can blend between the saw and the pulse, or the triangle and the pulse, so whichever you've got set on the initial setting here. Not sure what the camera's picking up, to be honest. So on the sawtooth, we can blend from sawtooth to the square or the pulse, or we could do that with the triangle. So loads of things to play with there, and you'll see that mix between the triangle and the square, or the pulse. It is a little bit like, but not the same as the shark tooth on the Minimoog. On the Minimoog, you probably all know this, but I'll just show it quickly. We've got a triangle, all discrete. This is the shark tooth. And then we've got a sawtooth. Got a pulse at 50%. Then I think it's meant to be at 25 and then 10%. But they don't sound identical to the pulses on the Moog One. I'll show why. So I'm trying to get this to 50%. There we go, 50%, and those intermediate harmonics as low as they'll go. The Minimoog itself isn't set at 50%, it appears to be around 51 as far as the Moog One's concerned. So we look at that second sort of harmonic, it's just under 300. I'm going to try and match that on the Moog One. And that's not far off already, is it? It's almost as if I'd prepared for this. So the pulse width at 51% on the Moog One is equivalent to my Minimoog, but it does sound different. So your big pulse bass tones will sound different. And again, much buzzier on the Minimoog, where it's just got more high frequencies in there. Okay, coming over to the filter. I'm not going to demonstrate everything the Moog One can do because I'd be here all day, but it does a lot more than the Minimoog. The Minimoog's basically the Moog One on a single setting, but the Moog One, we do have a state variable or a ladder filter, and you tell the oscillator, or you send the oscillator to the filters using these buttons here. So now it's going to the ladder. This is on full, so it will be slightly distorted if I put it onto half on the Minimoog. If you're not watching this, you're just listening to this and talking about the levels going through the mixer. And you can see there on the oscilloscope that the Minimoog's shape is changing as it distorts. You can see it's flattening on that left-hand side top end. It's sort of getting more curved. I'll leave it on full because it's nice. Doesn't look as obvious if it is doing it. Maybe slightly. That requires a bit more investigation, but at first appearance, we're definitely getting more distortion or more saturation from the Minimoog. Don't really hear much doing that. Let's whack the resonance up. So resonance on about 50%, it's doing the ladder thing, isn't it? Where you drop all the bass or the volume. And we can see that resonance peak popping up there, about 18 kilohertz. That's when the cutoff's on full. There it is. If you've got any bats in the house, I do apologise. Lovely Moog filter. But what I'm noticing there, and I've had a little play with this and I might be missing something, is that I can't get that lower than 80 or 100 there. That resonant peak shouldn't be changing with pitch. Pitch tracking says it's on 100 at the minute. Let's turn that to 0. It's got no key tracking on this. Oh, pitch tracking was on the oscillator. Yeah, I better put that back on 100, hadn't I? Otherwise, later on, I will be getting some shocks. So go into the ladder filter, go into the more page, ladder key tracking. I've still got a little bit of that on from earlier. I'll take that off to 0. So I'm getting it down to 80, but no lower, and it says 20 on the cutoff, and I don't know why that is. As I say, there may be a setting I'm missing, but I've put this from initial patch, put it into mono, and sort of kicked off. And I actually noticed this when I was doing a little play around with the envelopes to see how snappy the envelopes were, because on the Minimoog, so where is that resonant peak? It's in the stratosphere somewhere. And there she is. There she blows. I'll just whack the resonance down a little bit because we don't want to ruin our speakers or our ears. Whack it up there so that we can try and see how low it goes. So it's only going down here to just over 100 as well, but I don't know what happens to it when it goes down. It's not. I've not got keyboard control on there. But I am getting it much lower. Rumbling away there. But it disappears. Whereas on the Moog One, you can always hear it. So when trying to test the snappiness of the filters, for example, let's put the contour up. Sorry about this. I can't hear the filter while I'm holding the key on. Whereas on the Moog One, I can always hear the filter. Let's turn the oscillator off. And I could be doing something wrong, so do let me know. If I do something wrong, I can always rely on somebody to let me know. But yeah, just another difference really. So for these little snappy shot style things, it's different. So again, not identical, and obviously on the Moog One we've got 24, 6, 12 and 6 dB slopes, very much like the Sub 37. Okay, let's take a look at key tracking. Let's take the envelope off. Key tracking, we'll go into the filter more page. Ladder tracking, we'll put that on 100. And I'm just showing you here that it doesn't actually work on 100. Well, on this one at least, it works at 104. So it's not at 100%, it's not staying in tune. Gone out. Okay, now the Minimoog's keyboard will go from this F to this C. Would it? 1, 2, 3 and a bit, yeah. Let's get the resonance as high as we can. So we get much more resonance on the Minimoog as well. Let's knock it down a bit, try and make them evenish. Okay. And we can hear that the keyboard tracking, although it's on 100%, isn't working at 100% on the Moog One. Okay, so I found, I think it was around 104%. So let's put it on 104. I was thinking the Moog One was a little bit unstable at first because it won't do it for the whole of the keyboard, but then neither will the Minimoog. Here it's gone out there. So it's about the same actually, that, isn't it? That last one's just slightly out on both. Okay, let's take a look at FM. I've set them up to be pretty identical, as much as I can anyway. Obviously I've not got the envelopes quite right, but I'll just show you what I've got here. We've got, let's take the FM off and oscillator 3 off. So modulating oscillator 1 with oscillator 3. So that's off, and the FM's off. So just listening to oscillator 1. Let's bring the tuning of that back up and I'll show you how I've done that in a second. Let's open the filter on both of them. So pretty similar to start with, same tuning, and then I've added oscillator 3, which sounds like this. Okay, now I'll take oscillator 3 off so we don't listen to it, and I'll bring some FM in. Stays at the same pitch, but on the Minimoog, which is what you expect. You get this on loads of synths. So I have to detune it, which is why it's detuned a second ago. And you can hear there are distinct differences there in the FM tone, in the way it's modulating the frequency. And it must be because obviously the Moog One is staying in tune, which is very, very handy. But it does have its sort of side effect, I suppose. If you listen to that, it's got like a bit of a buzz, a bit of a rasp on it. Just trying to show the characteristics here. I increase this. It doesn't have that gnarly sort of growl like you get on the Moog One. However, I do think it's probably a little bit more maybe musical on the Minimoog. I put them both onto 4 foot. I'm just going through the frequencies there on oscillator 3, do the same on the Minimoog. They're their own thing, but it just means that if you're going to try and match a patch you've got on the Minimoog with the Moog One, it's not going to work. Just playing a few things here. Let's go to 16 and to 8, 16 and to 8. So you can get them, well, I say similar, and then I listen back in my headphones and think they sound completely different. And it's because you're trying to match the things, you're thinking it's getting closer, but it's not really. Okay, quickly looking at envelopes as well, because obviously the snappiness of a bass tone really does depend on the envelopes as well. And the envelopes are different, but the Moog One are super flexible in that you can sort of change everything on them. You can change the attack curve, the decay curve, the release curve. They can be exponential, linear, logarithmic to any degree really. So I don't know if you can see this, picking this up, but I'm changing the attack curve there from logarithmic through to linear, all the way through to exponential. But the Minimoog appears to be about 43% logarithmic, so and I've matched those up as best I can. And if you look at these images here, you can see that the decay time is actually about twice the release time. And if we look at the Moog One, it doesn't look like it's twice as much. The release is on about just before the first line after the one, and the decay time is just after that, but it does make for double the time, weirdly. And I always thought the decay and the release were the same on the Minimoog, but obviously the decay time potentiometer sets the release time, but it's not the same as the decay time. Quite interesting, maybe, if you're as geeky as me. They're almost perfectly matched. We've got 45% logarithmic on the attack, 40% exponential on the decay, and the release is 17% exponential. As I say, I've been messing around with that for a while. So if you want to make it sound anything like the Minimoog, that's what you're going to have to set it at. Well, we've looked at the oscillators, the filters, the envelopes, and a bit of FM. They're not going to sound the same, but let's try and do some tones on them to see if the Moog One can do bass. So as far as filling up those bass frequencies, it's doing the same thing as the Minimoog. A little bit louder. It's the high end where it's lacking, not the low end. But of course, if you're relying on that high end to punch through on a mix, well, it will make a difference. So if we bring down the filter, add a bit of envelope amount. Let's just check what we've got in here. Just put the delay curve and everything to 0, because I have been playing with it all. So here we've got the high end punching through in the high transients at the start. A bit of release to stop that clicking. Now you'll notice after playing with the envelopes, we do need to tweak that envelope curve on the decay, don't we? It is exponential on the Moog, you can hear it. On the Minimoog, there you go, much better straight away. I wouldn't say that's not bassy in any way. I'm not going to get the envelopes perfectly matched while I'm doing this quickly, but trying to get the levels again. and looking at those scopes there, or the frequency analysis, there's no bass lacking in the Moog One. There is that bit of movement. Let's add some resonance. The Minimoog. Not going full on squelchy, not yet. Just looking at what happens between the fundamental and that first harmonic as I turn the resonance up. All the same. Yeah, that's all to do with the envelopes, isn't it? So they act differently. I could probably spend another hour getting these precise. I'm not going to try and get them exactly the same, but it is all to do. If you're going to try and get the same sort of tone as the Minimoog, you can't leave your envelopes on the Moog One on the standard settings. Take a look at what I did on the envelope section in this and try that. Whether that works for snappier things, whether it changes, whether it's a linear relationship between long envelopes and short envelopes, I don't know. Okay, so that's sort of single oscillator resonant tones. Let's try something a little bit fatter. Let's try maybe 2 sawtooths, shall we? Take the resonance off, open the filter. And add a second oscillator. Let's put that as a sawtooth as well. Detune it. Moog. Oh, Moog, I mean. Got the trouble of being. Same over here. Put it on the same octave. Bring it in. Getting the beat in the same. Wham, wham. Let's try and match that again. In no way is the Moog One not as bassy or can't do that sort of tone. Let's add the third oscillator. So do big 3 oscillator mono. Make sure we're on the saw on all of them. Tones are slightly different. I think the Minimoog's a little bit more in tune, isn't it? But it sounds mad, that Moog One, like in a good way. So yeah, for your big Minimoog style 3 oscillator patches, they can all do it. Let's just flip them apart by an octave each, shall we? So for simple snappy basses, they're the same. For resonant stuff, you've got to be really careful with the filters. And for the big 3 oscillator Minimoog power stuff, the Gary Newman stuff, you can do it. Final thoughts on this. Moog One can do bass. It's not a replacement for a Minimoog. I've not tried doing the filter, feedback loop and stuff like that. I'm not sure how you do it on the Moog One, or if I break it, if I did take out one of the outputs from the back and bring it back in on itself. There is an external input on this, I think. There's loads of things in the back, loads of connectors, but I don't want to break it. It's not mine. I'm pretty sure you can damage the Voyager by doing it the wrong way. So yeah, Moog One can do bass. Anyone that says it can't is wrong, I think. And now there's another 100 comments coming in. Starsky, how dare you say I'm wrong? But maybe the update, the 1.5 update on this, sorted any issues people had with it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It's been fun. It's taken me ages to set all this up, actually. The hardest part was actually getting both of them in the studio at the same time, where I could get the cameras up and see my monitors that are over there, and see what's happening. So I really do hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please think about subscribing, ring the bell, and maybe join me on Patreon or send me your synths. Brilliant. Anything you can do to support the channel. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.